Hi, everyone. Welcome. Tonight we are in conversation with Kristy Cavaretta, who is on exhibition in our current show here at Seesaw Art in Manchester, New Hampshire. I'm Amy Regan. I am so happy to be here hosting and chatting and getting into this collection by Kristy. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, or if you're watching us later, we really appreciate that support too. So, welcome, Kristy. I'm just going to do a little bio here. Kristy is a Maine-based multidisciplinary artist whose meditative prints explore the beauty and imperfection found in everyday life and the natural world. Caravetta holds a degree in media arts from Boston's Emerson College and graphic design from Mass Art. In 2012, she moved to the Seacoast after a decade of working in the film industry in Los Angeles. She worked as a graphic designer until she had her first child in 2016 and continues to work as a freelance designer for organizations including the Algonquin Museum of American Art, the Old York Historical Society. Caravetta has been began printmaking in 2014 at Chase's Garage in York, Maine. Since having her children, she has leaned into block printing, direct object printing, and collagraph printing for her accessibility and speed. In 2021, Maine Magazine named Caravetta as one of the year's artists to watch. In 2013, she had her first solo exhibition at the Rochester Museum of Fine Arts. It was a really beautiful show. Caravetta teaches printmaking at Chase's Garage and is proud to sit on the board of nonprofit Art Hope. In 2024, Caravetta was honored to become a juried member of the New Hampshire Institute of Art Association and the New Hampshire Monotype Guild. I'm just going to admit one person. There we go. Just make sure I did that right. Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Amy. Oh, it's my friend.
Hi, Stacy. Welcome. Thanks for joining us tonight. I was just giving a little bio intro to Kristy, and you kind of joined right at the end of that. So let's jump right into it, Kristy. How are you? Welcome. Happy July. How are you feeling?
Thank you for having me. I'm great. I'm happy to be speaking to you. I'm here in my studio at Chase's. We're at New York Beach, so it feels like summer in here. It's a little warm. It's a little cozy, but I'm glad.
Hi, Stacey. That's excellent. Yes. So, this will be sort of a roundtable conversation. So anybody who's joining us, please feel free to ask questions or chime in. Kristy, tell us about the collection that's currently on view here at Seesaw Art.
So this collection, they're all woodcut prints. Woodcut is a relief printmaking method where you start with a piece of wood, usually plywood, and you carve out the areas that are not inked. So in this case, the white or the paper color coming through is what you carve. Woodcut printmaking takes a long time, and I can get caught up in, and I think a lot of artists can, also experience this. You can get caught up in like the perfectionism before starting, and especially with woodcut because it's such a slow, long process. You can start your stuff before you get rolling. So with this process, with this series, I started with a series of cutouts of my kids' scraps from their coloring pages that were left all over my house. I've got 3 kids, and one of them in particular is a prolific maker, and he's always making things and then cutting out the shapes. So the inverse scraps are always laying around, and I decided to take those as my own sort of puzzle pieces and jumping off points and bring them to the studio. And it was a really fun way to make the jumping off point a little less precious than trying to think of the perfect drawing or the perfect image and then jumping into it. And as I did this, I got, maybe a couple dozen images. And once you start working on something, I think I like to work in series a lot. I'm a graphic designer, and I think that comes naturally. So a couple of series started to emerge. And once you kind of got a trail of thought, it was easier to follow those breadcrumbs. And this series is mostly about weeds and invasive species, bugs, things that are usually looked at as pests, but I do show how they also have their own beauty.
That is such a rich story. And I really love the jumping off point in the composition in using the scrap pieces of paper. Cause like I'm also sort of an artist hoarder person. It's like this is trash, but it could be art, but it's trash, but it could be art. You kind of like be able to fully feel that. And then I just like looking at this piece, just the uniqueness of how the black is cut. Like they're like I just think that like the way that you're using those cutoffs is just so smart and fun. And I have to tell you, like, it's been really lovely to share that with patrons over the past couple days. I can tell when someone's sort of engaging with the work, and I'm more than happy to tell more about that. And in that story tells a lot about who you are, how you make, and it's just a really beautiful way to start it. Because that way it's not the blank piece of wood block. And it's so interesting to me to hear that it's plywood.
It's plywood.
I mean, I think it's like, you know, the most expensive oak. It's like,
wood's gone up, but it's not fancy. And actually some of this series specifically is it's lower quality plywood than I might use on something that I do have, like what I think is a great idea, so that some of the imperfections would come through, so that if the wood splits, I could embrace it.
Yes. Yeah, and it adds to that like natural theme, right? Like as wood is a living thing, even if it's plywood, like it's still, you kind of are looking to like embrace those imperfections
and to respond, right? Like this is the whole practice of this series was about responding to shapes and existing things, and I think responding to the wood is part of all of cut practice, so it all comes hand in hand. And one of the other things I was thinking about with this series, or wanting to practice with this series, is like forming a language. You know, like painters, they have like that 1,000-hour thing of like you paint over and over and over again, like the language comes out. And I feel like with woodcut, because it's slow, I'm constantly questioning myself, saying like, do I have a language? Like, can I see my language? Can I see my hand? Like, is there a language is there a shorthand that keeps coming up? And by doing sort of faster, less precious pieces like this, I was hoping to kind of allow room for some of that language to start make itself a little bit more apparent. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it just sort of come out instead of being sort of waited for. You're like, okay, here's my composition, here's what I want to do. And I mean, for me, I feel like these pieces are maybe on the smaller side for you, just knowing your collection of work. And they're really decent sizes. You can see I have two right behind me because I'm super lucky. They're a decent size, but at the same time, I've seen some really larger works from you where you could definitely spend a lot of time sort of spinning out and working on cutting and working on the wood for so long.
Right. And then you get terrified because you're like, I've spent how many 40 hours carving this thing? I better not screw up now, right?
I love the idea that if you did want to make a change, hopefully it was one that you wanted to like cut out more. So you do a couple proof prints and then you're like, okay, it's not gone. It's
you can always remove more. Adding it back is more challenging. Yeah. Yeah.
I just put the link to your page on seesaw.art in the chat. So if anyone wants to take a look at the work while we're looking at it, there's some good images on there. Speaking of that natural visual language, I think a lot of it comes out in the screen for this housefly print.
The screen.
So beautiful. Like that composition, that teeny tiny little cut, like right on the right there. And then just these really beautiful lines. Like that is totally, that's totally your hand coming through with like that freeing, right? Because we were chatting about this piece specifically when you dropped it off, because it was like blowing my mind. Like how you could do it with a ruler, you could be so specific.
Right.
Like how do you even decide that this is how you're going to represent that screen door or the screen of the window?
I know. Amazing. And you've got to embrace it, right? Like if one row comes out a little bit wider than the next, you just got to keep going. That's like its own, I don't know, meditative life lesson in wood carving.
Definitely. Like this is it's so funny because it's like it's a simple representation, but it must have taken forever. Like basically the whole piece is cut out.
It is. Well, but here I'm going to tell you, I've done another, this is the second screen that I've done, and I've done it in the inverse where you cut out all the little squares And that takes a lot longer. Like this was much more satisfying to carve because you just can kind of let it go. The carving out every little square and popping it out is much more tedious.
I can't imagine that.
More of the, many more of the others. Yeah.
Definitely, especially where like, yeah, I would definitely spin out, and like you try to make them perfect. Like if you're doing it that way, you're trying to make it as perfect as possible. And yeah, for sure. But even knowing your past collections, I definitely see that hand, specifically here in pokeweed, in the large piece that we had of you in Rochester. Like I see the Caravetta tick mark coming through, where we had this really, really large piece, and I'll let you speak about it, of course, but it was a very, very large piece that had a specific tick mark as it went through your experience.
It's true. That is definitely the similar mark making. I think one of the things that I'm always thinking when I make these woodcuts, because they can be very, very labored, and some parts of them are very labored, but I'm always also trying to be true to myself with enjoying the experience, right? Like yes. I love the tediousness of them, but I also want to be enjoying it. And
I totally understand that.
To a point. Yeah. And making this sort of mark, and trying to make another theme or struggle that comes up in my work often is the control versus the letting go, and like trying to make randomness, like trying to create randomness is very difficult, because like I think as human beings we just put things into systems. So as soon as you start making marks, your body wants to make them rows or make them the same size. So trying this piece, I remember making myself step away and to try to like see where it could feel more random and less contrived.
Because you want to like grid it out,
little clusters of groupings,
Totally. And this reads to me a little bit like raindrops, which is so random. Like, how can you can't like grid out rain? Like that's not what happens here. Or even it almost looks a little bit like tree bark to me in a way too. The actual pokeweed is just so beautiful with the circles, and I know exactly what that plant is, and I can picture it for sure. Yeah, let's take a look at a couple others. And so what drew you to the idea of the invasive species as a series?
This goes back, one of the continuing, or one of the things that arrives often in my work is like my domestic shortcomings. And I think as a woman and as a mother, that's something that is a constant struggle for me. Keeping my home tidy enough is a constant struggle, and a place where I feel like a lot of shame. And I just thank goodness for art, because I get to a point where I'm like, oh, I feel bad about it. And then I'm like, why am I feeling bad about it? I'd rather make art. So I'm going to go make art about it instead. Like the dishes can wait, just put them in the sink or whatever. So I grow weeds. I try to garden every year, and I grow some stuff, but mostly I grow weeds. And
oh, I so identify with that, Kristy. Somebody gave me some irises this year, and I haven't planted them. They're still in like the bag that they need to be.
I know, right? Or like buy the dahlia tubers every year, and I think I'm going to dig them up and like overwinter them, and it never happens. Like I've got really great intentions in the winter usually.
I totally identify with that, and I kind of like poke my. It's so funny. So if you're in my kitchen, you can look out into the back, and I've got a lot of lilies, and I have a lot of perennials like on purpose so that I can enjoy the flowers and not have to do too much. And then if you're standing there regularly, chopping or looking out the window, I actually have a peony bush that was my grandmother's, and I didn't think that it bloomed, but one day I just pushed my head out a little bit closer out the window, and it was blooming. And it was like the normal spot, I couldn't see it, but then I just moved forward just that much effort and saw the most beautiful pink peony. Like I couldn't believe it at all, right? It was like, that is totally like the effort that I have for the garden, as much as I don't want to say that out loud ever, but especially
intentions. I have great intentions. And now that my kids are getting older, we're doing better. But I also think like a lot of the weeds are so beautiful.
Definitely.
Like the pokeweed was growing in one of my garden beds, and I didn't know what it was. So I was letting it grow. And then I love the fuchsia stems and like the purple berries. They're
Yes.
like so pretty, but then like they're very poisonous. So my eldest, I don't know if we have time for this story, but my eldest is a very outdoor kid, and he squeezed the berries and got like the bright pink juice, and it's beautiful, but he put it like all over his arms. It was like his war paint, and like played in the woods. It's so poisonous. He had like swollen red eye. Even once he washed it off, like all of his sensitive like skin spots were swollen for days. I mean, it was like a real disaster. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm gonna have to pull the beautiful pokeweed. So that's really actually what started. The pokeweed was the first thing.
Yeah, and that whole experience. That's amazing. I'm glad he's okay. But also, like, I can see that pink. I would have done the same exact thing. Like, it's absolutely beautiful. Yeah. How fun is that?
I mean, that color, it exists in nature. It's amazing.
Yes, definitely. So can you tell us what your studio is like? Is it in the home, outside of the home? Like, where do you create work?
So my studio is here at Chase's Garage, which is a studio in York Beach. We're at Short Sands, and we have, I'm keeping this away because there's a light. We have individual artist studios, which is where I am, but we also have a really beautiful printmaking studio and a beautiful ceramic studio, and we teach tons of classes here. There's about maybe 9 private studios here, so we've got a really healthy community of artists. And now that I've got 3 kids, and now that the littlest ones are in grade school, I try to come here like it's my job. I try to come here as long as everybody's healthy and get to work. And it's really actually that's when I started this series, is when I acquired my private studio, and it's been great.
That's
been
awesome.
really great.
Yeah. You're able to go there when you have the time, everything's set up and ready to go, and you just dive in.
It's a mess, and there's things out. There's a million different projects halfway started, that are available for me. It's just great.
Definitely.
And when I'm home, I try my best. I always have a sketch pad with me. I carry a bag with me everywhere I go that's got a sketch pad with me. So I always have something available, but.
Definitely. Yeah. And to have that, like, as a printmaker, it's great to be able to have that lovely access to a studio that's set up, and it's vibrant, and it's exciting. And I can imagine going there, and, there's always that struggle between like being part of the community and making sure that you have time for yourself. But like, whatever you put into the community is going to come back, many folds within that. Definitely.
Well, making art in a bubble is really hard, and I feel like I'm a bit of a novice of an artist. I didn't really give my art practice attention until I was home with the kids. Wasn't working my office job. So having the last 2 years, I don't know, the opportunity to take it seriously and take myself seriously has been like such a gift. And to be able to have people to bounce things off of, or to swing by and just be like, what are you doing? This is rad, or like, you're crazy, or whatever, has been really great, and accountability. There's some ladies here that if they don't see me for a couple weeks, we love that. Yes. I can see how sick the kids are, or
where have you been? We haven't seen you in too long. That is a really lovely part of the studio space. Definitely. Yeah, I just I was chatting with somebody earlier today, and like the etching of these Japanese beetles is what we were chatting about. And like they have that individuality, right? Like, we read it, we know what it is, but then when you're able to appreciate and really enjoy each line, it's just such an individual thing, for sure.
And again, you can see that like approaching these, I wasn't trying to render them like perfectly, they're not like 3-dimensional characters. I was trying to play with like the mark making and the hand in my hand, and give more weight to that, which I think is fun.
I can like feel the scurry. I can like feel them moving around a little bit, like just how the edges are rendered there, which I think is really beautiful.
Yeah, I like how this one, I think the cutouts are the bright shapes on the inside instead of the outside this time. So like I flipped it with the negative space, which was try to vary things. Once you get a series, then you have to, the patterns start to emerge. And I'm like, well, I can't have too many, just like.
Yeah, right.
And
that resonates with me so much too, because I went to school for photography. So like at the end of the class, you got your 10 to 12 photos, right? So it was always this set. It wasn't just this one perfect photo. It was always like, how do they inform each other and can they stand on their own? And like, I always think about art in that way when I'm thinking about
stronger together.
Yes, definitely. But then also varied too. So like that set always resonates with me.
Yeah.
We've got a couple more to look at on the screen, but I also wanted to just show off this bandana that Kristy made, which is a which is a print of the Cutter Ant prints, which is really beautiful. And we were just chatting about this before we jumped on the call, and there's always that tension as a printmaker or someone who can reproduce their art in that way, finding a good balance. And I was so excited that you brought those by, because I like to have things that are super approachably priced, you know, because people want to be able to support the artist. And as much as I want to have like a really beautifully curated store, like it's just about as much as I can do to get the shows ready every month. So this was perfect, because I was like, good, I have something, and I know that it'll resonate, especially when you're able to see the actual print and then see it on a bandana, which is just such a cool thing. So it's
one of the great things about being a printmaker is that I can make accessible art, right? You know, yeah. I can spend 40 hours carving a wood block and then still make it a print affordable. And
yes,
that's something I'm always thinking about. And once you translate it to a silk screen, it becomes that much more efficient and easier to offer it, you know, to spread the art joy. So I was glad to be able to do that. I'm trying to do it all the time, but a couple times a year, I'd like to try to, you know, make a joyful.
Yeah, kind of have like that stock too, because people are probably going to ask you to. I don't know. I always sort of think about that, like, who's going to ask me what? I really love the composition on this one, and as somebody who actively, that's what I did during COVID, was like I redid my gardens. Obviously, they need some help now that it's been 5 years, but like actively trying to combat the bittersweet, like I really feel it in this piece. It's so good. Yeah, definitely.
I had a long chat with your parents actually at the opening about the bittersweet, because where my house is, it's a budding farmland that's in a farmland trust, and they left 50 feet of wood, a forest in between like the development lot and the farm. And it's like not quite, I swear it's not quite enough land to like be super healthy. And now that the bittersweet is like taking over so much of it, you can just see it like thinning. I don't know, I feel like you can see the poor forest.
I definitely, and it's like it is that summertime green, but it's like it's just awful. Did my mom tell you she's been known to like hook up her pickup truck to like a root and like try to
She did. Yeah, she did.
Naked bittersweet story. I love that. Like she hates it. She's a huge gardener, right? So, oh my goodness. But I also love like
just like it's suffocating.
Yeah. When you see it suffocating a beautiful tree, I mean, it just breaks your heart. And I've worked with a number of artists who bittersweet really resonates with. And I remember working with a photographer in Rochester where he would photograph it when it didn't have leaves on it. And it is like that vine, which is just so beautiful. And like, it's beautiful, but it's not, right? Like, so it's that interesting tension as like, it is this natural thing, but it is consuming all the resources for the indigenous species that are here and just like totally messing everything up.
And then there's some times of the year where it's like the only color that comes through the forest. So then you're like grateful for the little pops of orange and red that you see too. So you're like, ooh, I shouldn't be thinking so bittersweet.
Like making wintertime wreaths when I was a kid with my parents, like we would try to find the bittersweet, you know, berries, and then like to figure out later what it was, like really interesting. Yeah, I just love the composition on this one too. That bridge and that like totally taking over is just really gorgeous. And yes, this is the last piece that we have, and this is the cutter ants. And I I just feel itchy looking at this, you know, like I could just feel them all over me. And what I really love about this piece, and you can see it in these great scans that you sent me, there's like this little bit of where the ant goes over the leaf, and you can see that white, and it's that attention to detail, to go a little leg on the leaf, or a little head.
Just I'm like, whoops, I don't know if that worked, but we did it. So
I love it. I think it's really cool. It seems very intentional to me. That's what I've been pointing out. Yeah, exactly.
So I joke,
really
I was
awesome.
joking with some friends in the studio about this one, that like, you know, I wanted it to feel like a lot. I wanted it to feel like volumes. You know, I drew all the ants, and I was cutting them all out. And then I was like, this is clearly what an ant looks like in my brain. It's not actually what an ant looks like. Like, I was like, probably should have looked at some more references, but that's not what this exercise was about.
I love that. Like, you're in it and you realize, like, maybe this isn't how it should. That has definitely happened to me before. Or like someone will be like, did you watch a YouTube video on how to do that? And I'm like, no, why would I? Like, I'm just out here learning. Like, I know that the information is
like,
out there.
It reads ant, you know?
We never crossed my mind that it was not ant, or like, and I'm not the kind of person that's gonna like identify the species either. Like, I can just appreciate ant shape and like not worry about how many legs there are, which is like so funny. That's so good. I love the contrast of how like kind of like scratchy in a way the legs are, in contrast to these really beautiful lines that are in the leaves. Like, those are so intentional and like perfect in a way, and you can kind of feel, like I said, like the scurrying of the insect is really beautiful. Thank you. Excellent. So what's besides the show at Seesaw, which just opened, we opened on Saturday, and it'll be on view until July 31st. What else is coming down the pike for you? What are you working on?
I have a show at 3S in December.
Congratulations.
Which sounds like a far way away, but it's not. It is with with my dear friend. Sorry about that. My dear friend painter Alicia Etheridge, and we are doing a show all about birds. Our bird messengers. We both lost our mothers within about a year of each other, and we kept seeing the signs in the birds and the animals that kept popping up to us, and we kind of found kinship over it. And we decided at one point that we should just do. We were both making tons of birds, that we should just do a bird show. So we pitched a bird show, and we're doing a bird show at 3S. We're excited about it because we have a huge space. We're going to do, one of the walls is going to be an interactive murmuration. I might actually be able to show you a piece of it. So we have all these stamps that we made. So we're going to invite people to add birds to the murmuration. So we're hoping that we'll make a community mural of birds. And we're really excited about that, to see what that's like. I'm making some sculptural pieces. So I'm making some wooden birds that are going to hang and be carved as sculptural pieces from the ceilings. So yeah, it's been taking a lot of time, and we're excited about it.
That's a big space.
It's a big space. I don't, you can kind of see behind my wall, a sneak peek. Like I've got some really big birds going on over there. But Alicia paints really large as well, so I think that we're going to fill it. She's going to do collaborative pieces we're working on, and she's working on some sculptural pieces as well. So it's been a fun place where like we can both. We've had almost a year to work towards it, which has been really fun, and there's like an element of play available for both of us that we're really excited about.
That's so exciting. And Alicia is so talented and incredibly thoughtful, like yourself. And it's a big thing to tackle. So it's beautiful. It's also so vulnerable. So like leaving space to have the feels to make this show has got to be, you know, a little on the heavy side too. So wow, I can't wait to go. That's excellent. Yeah, congratulations. So what's the best way to follow along with you? Is it Instagram and email or?
Instagram is a great place to start. I've been a little quiet on there lately, mostly because I've been working on this big show, and I've been kind of like hoarding the work and not sharing too much as it develops, but that will change. my website, which I'm sure is on your website. I try to update somewhat regularly as well. But feel free to email me. I'm really good on email. I'm pretty good on my social media, so that's a great place to start. Or talk to Amy. She can help you out.
For sure. That's excellent. So my clincher question, I like to find a little inspiration and just chat about it with my friends. It's tough to be in the arts, and it's time consuming and expensive, and there's all of these things on the one hand where it just gets tough sometimes. So when you're sort of feeling that heaviness, or can kind of feel yourself getting into like, oh gosh, why do I do this? Like, what helps you keep going and keep showing up for your own art?
For me personally, I think teaching has been a really big inspiration for me. So being able to teach, I teach woodcut printmaking here, and I teach just one class, a session for 5 weeks, so a handful a year. But the amount of people that I've met doing that, the amount of people that like keep coming back, or that like keep thinking about me, or will like stop by exhibitions or send me notes when they see cool wood, prints out in the wild and things like that. Just knowing that I've spread the printmaking joy and the art joy is really great. And a lot of the people who come to my class are not working artists. A lot of them are people who are, later on in life and never thought that they could be an artist. So getting to, infuse some art into their lives when they aren't secure in their art making, it gives me great joy.
I love
so
that.
Spreading art joy gives me.
Yeah. Spreading the art joy. And I think about this all the time, specifically with the gallery. Like, seesaw art is something that I do, but it also is like an idea in people's minds. So like it will, like, people will have ideas for me, or they'll be inspired, and it'll inspire to do them to like, it's just kind of like this thing that lives. So to students, it's like, oh man, I have to tell Kristy, like, I saw this wicked cool thing,
It's community building in the same way. I feel like that about teaching is like, I'll be at the grocery store with my husband. He'll be like, "Who's that?" And I'll be like, "Oh, it's just a student." I've met so many people, and I've like, feel like I have such. It's a gift to me. I feel like I have such community because of it. Because I see and hear from people all the time.
I totally know what you mean. And sometimes I'll look at my text, and it's just text from artists for like a couple pages. I'm like, what could be more? Like, this is really,
I've seen this, or I was like on vacation here. This is cool print. And I'm like, this is the best. This is exactly the email that I want to receive.
We have that whole community to be able to turn to. That's really, really important. Definitely.
Great.
Oh, good. I forgot that I put this on here. So here's the full bandana, which I absolutely love. And it's such a great, approachable piece of work. And so I think that kind of brings us to the end of our discussion here. I want to say thank you to everybody who's joining us or watching later. It's been really lovely to chat with you, Kristy. One of my favorite things is to be able to really dive into the work and really learn from it. And there's a lot of inspiration happening in these pieces. There are 2 other artists on view in the show, Nathan Carroll Donlan and Christopher Vigiu, who's a painter and a photographer, respectively. So come on down and check it out at Seesaw Art here in downtown Manchester. We just moved to a new storefront space, so people have been looking at me like, what is she doing in here? With the door locked all night. So we're super happy to be able to do that and to expand. But you can also check out all of the artworks and purchase any of the artworks online at seesaw.art. So thank you, everyone. It has been really, really lovely.
Thank you. I appreciate you. I appreciate you taking the time to learn more and talk more about the work. It's a great opportunity.
My pleasure. My pleasure.